Hello and welcome back to Sended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Matholkas, and this is Legion, Season 3, Episode 4, Chapter 24. How's everyone going? How's everyone doing tonight? Going? God, you can tell where my mind is at. It's all over the place because that episode was really, really damn good, but also really, really funky. And again, Legion... You either really love it or you really hate it. And this episode is going to be something that is really going to test those people who really don't like it. Wow, that's all I can say. The other thing I can say is, holy shit, thank you, everybody. We hit 301, or I hit 301, I should say, my channel here, and subscribers. Thank you very much. Hey, Baking 101, Moo Fanobi, Pen Farm Girl, Joe, and of course, I saw Slurmy in here too, and Viking Bitch. Oh my God. What the hell? There's a lot of people in here tonight. Yeah, thank you guys. It was a lot of fun. And it's going to get more fun, as a matter of fact, because this week is Comic-Con. And no Legion panel, unfortunately. But hey, you can't have it all. There are going to be a shitload of Marvel panels, though. So, I'm going to try and get into as many as possible. It's going to be nutty. It really is going to be nutty. But let's start off here. Yes, I was going to say that too, Mufinobi. I love you 301 because 301 is what we're up to. So, yes, I decided against that joke, but Mufinobi is not against that joke. Spoiler alert. I am going to spoil the shit out of the episode. If you have not seen the episode, go and watch that fantastic episode. I'm going to actually watch it again on the big screen with the surround sound because I was watching it on this little teeny tiny, computer screen that I would rather see it big time because of all the stuff that we saw. Thank you, Viking Bitch, for the paddle. And let me get some business stuff out of the way too while we're at it. If you like what you see here, hit the subscribe button like some people have already done. Hit the like button. You can hit the dislike button. I just ask you down below in the comment section. Tell me what it is you don't like. Give me some constructive criticism about what it is. And if you want to know when I'm going to be on live again next, you can hit the bell. If you've already hit the bell, don't hit it again. It will unclick it. You can go into the bell and get, you can screw around with the settings and get as many or little notifications as you want from me. If you want to see when I'm going to be on again live, you can take a look at my schedule, which was updated just today, just a little bit before Legion came on because, bad me. But I do update it, each week with what I'm going to be doing for the week. And I'm usually within 15 minutes of that start time, depending on what's going on during the day. If you want to see that same schedule is mirrored on my Facebook page and also any updates. So if I'm running late or something like that, I do post it to Facebook. I have a Twitter. I have an Instagram. The Instagram is going to be blowing up during Comic-Con. That's the thing you want to follow as well. And I also have a Patreon page too, but I don't have tiers set up at the moment. So there we go. Excuse me. It's a little bit on the humid side here today, and it's wreaking havoc with everything here. You need a warning before Dennis enters. Thanks, Nufanobi. Yeah, I know, Viking Bitch. Same thing with me. The entire episode, I was like, what the fuck? So let's, just jump into it right now. The time eaters. I don't know about you guys, but I can almost tell you that Noah Hawley has the same nightmare that those of us of a certain age group had watching the old H.G. Wells Time Machine from the 60s, I believe it was, that had the Morlocks, the really creepy looking Morlocks. I'm pretty sure he used that as the basis for the Time Eaters, for the way they were structured, because that's what it reminded me of, and it looked as creepy as those guys, except he added the creepy smile to it as well, which was just as fucked up. So, we open up with Ptonomy, or Mainframe as he is now called, I believe, getting his mustache trimmed, and Carrie asking him if he remembers what fun was. And basically, Mainframe is just all logic and just talking about logistical stuff like data and not memories really, but what it has in its data banks. And she says that she misses Carrie, of course. And mainframe starts to glitch all of a sudden and says it's been compromised. And Carrie notices that time is starting to jump a little bit. And then she's in a room with Sid. And Sid's like, "What are you talking about? What's going on with time?" And that's when Sid says it's David and his time traveler. And Sid says they need Carrie, of course, the scientist, to figure this stuff out. And as they're looking at an apple that's sitting on her desktop, they see that it's starting to, you know, wither and get old really quickly. And before Sid can get them out of the room, they said we should run. They wink out of existence, or they just disappear, and the apple continues to rot. So yeah. So Lenny is with her pregnant starfish, I guess you could say, and they're outside as everyone else is playing out in the street. And the girl says that she knows that her girl is going to be happy, and Lenny's like, "Well, how do you know it's a girl?" She goes, "Well, you and I were the ones that created it, so it's science. There's no Y chromosome in that, so that's why it's a girl." And I love how Lenny's, just talking about naming it and saying, "Well, what should we name it? Another star name, another fish name? Fish girl," is what she says. And Lenny starts saying, "Well, what do you think about if I put in my resignation?" And I like the girl says, "But you're the breakfast queen." And Lenny says, "Maybe it's lunchtime," which I thought was the perfect response, quite honestly. And yeah, that made me laugh. It really did. Maybe it's lunchtime. David, in the meantime, and Switch fall through a time, one of the time doorways right next to them. And, Lenny's trying to tell Switch she's got a little bit of blood on her face. And then David's like, "Take us back. We need to go back." And then it starts looping over and over again. We see them falling, and same thing is happening. And finally, Switch says, "No, stop. We've done this before. We can't keep going back." Something's wrong at this point. And Mainframe, in the meantime, notices that all the time codes are off all over the world in all the computers. So there's a time glitch going on. And as they're looking at the screen, they see a hand start coming towards the screen, one of those round, weird screens that the mainframe has all over the place. And as the hand starts coming through, she says, "Make it stop," is what Sid says, and it loops back and forth again. And so they keep seeing it, keep seeing it, keep seeing it. And finally, Farouk comes in and says, "Be gone, demon." And the hand is severed and just falls to the ground. It's a demon hand. It's one of the time eater hands. We don't know what the time eaters are at that point either. Yeah. I punch Keanu Reeves. So we end up having David meditating in his chamber, seeing his mother's face as she's looking at him, singing his song. And Lenny comes in and says that they're ready for him. And he comes down and she goes, "Is everything okay?" And he doesn't answer. And she goes, "Oh, okay. It's going to be like that kind of thing." And he goes in to face his disciples and tells them, "Daddy had an off day today. And are you mad at Daddy?" "No, we're not mad at Daddy," which is just kind of a weird thing. And, he starts telling them about time, what happened with time. And that Switch ends up telling him that in the Hall of Time, there are demons. And he goes, "Oh, that's great. You probably should have led with this to begin with." And he goes, "But I can take him, I can protect everyone. I can protect them from the demons." And all his disciples, of course, are frightened. And he says, they beg him to make them calm again. So he kind of does a wave of ecstasy through them, literally making them ecstatic. And they all fall back on each other until we see Lenny in the back of the room, who isn't impressed at this point. And she says, "No, you need to get angry." And he goes, she goes, "What the hell are you going to do about this?" And he goes, "Watch your tone, say it in a different way. Otherwise, I'm not going to be calm." She goes, "I don't want you calm." She goes, "I want you the way you used to be so you can take care of this." And he goes, "Really? You want me like this? You want me to be this person?" And he always has been this person, but of course he is denying this the entire time. And yeah, the daddy thing is just really kind of creepy, but it's David. Um, yeah. So she wants him to fix this, as she says, chop chop, and he says he'll fix it all because it's it's his time, and he wants Switch to take him back, and she doesn't want to, of course. And he's trying to coerce her into going back into time again. And he goes, I don't want to go far, just a little bit back in time. Well, we don't know exactly what he wants to do, but he wants to go back just a little bit. And just as he's trying to coerce her, the room turns dark. And we start seeing the eyes. So these demons are supposed to look like cats, is what Switch had said. And we start seeing these glowing blue eyes. And David tells, of course, Switch and Lenny to run, and he takes them on. And he goes, "You want to dance? Let's dance," is what he tells them. And they're coming at him from all these different sides, and they're moving really quickly through time, really, really quickly. And he disappears all of a sudden, and then reappears in a cell. And we hear a woman next to him saying, what happened to you? What are you a homosexual, is what she says. And he goes, what? She goes, or a dissident. That's all they throw in here. And we realize it's his mom. And he looks over at her and sees her, and he says, Mom? And of course we cut to a commercial at that point, but we see time kind of slipping around. And Farouk explains that the time eaters are what they are, is that they actually eat time, and they're trying to break into this world. They're actually pretty violent entities. And of course, we don't want them to come into this time. And he says they live in the time in between time, and that's where they need to go to stop them. Sid disappears all of a sudden, and when Carrie notices, Carrie, Clark, and Farouk all disappear because Carrie goes, "Where's Sid?" And then they disappear. And then we see Sid walking down a hallway, and she's following a young girl in a hat, and follows her to her room, as a matter of fact. And we find out it's a young version of Sid because good night, Fanobi. And because of the dress that she's wearing, and says, "Oh, I had a dress like that when I was young." And then she asks her what her name is, and of course it's Sydney. And Sydney keeps calling the place that she's in a Zeppelin, and she goes, "No, it's an airship." That's what they said. And she asks who she's still dating, all that kind of stuff, to kind of tell her that she knows who she is. And then she tells her that she's her in the future. And Sid doesn't believe her. The young Sydney doesn't believe her. And she gives her a little bit of whiskey and tells her, you know what, remember the first time that we drank, you were 9 years old, the room spun and all this stuff. And young Sydney downs that whiskey as well, because yes, it is kind of fucked up meeting yourself at this point in time. And in the meantime, Sid tells her that Carrie works, Sid tells her that time is collapsing, and we see a room actually collapsing in on itself, and Carrie working as the time meters are kind of flicking around his lab at this point in time. And it's really hard to describe this episode, I swear to God, because there's so much visual stuff going on that is hard to explain. And I mean, the time eater's fucking with Carrie as he's working, like taking his soldering gun from him, or switching out what he was soldering, or shitting in the lab chair that spun around all of a sudden, and leaving just a big lump of time shit on his chair, which he finally looks at, and I guess breaks his spell, because he looks up at the picture and realizes that everything that David had done to him, that basically pretended to be Carrie, in order to gain his confidence. And that's what turned him. And then he's broken out of David's hold at this point and realizes he needs to get the fuck out of there. And he doesn't see the time eaters either, which is kind of weird. So he starts walking down an empty hallway and opens up a door where the giant hog is. And, these people start screaming and running out. Switch is in there, and she's hiding. She tells him to hide, and he goes, "What from?" And she's telling him about the time eaters. And He's like, he honestly thinks that she had her mind fucked with by David so much that she's hallucinating. This is what he's thinking. And so he says, I'm here to save you. I'm here to rescue you. Come with me and we'll get out of here. And as they're trying to leave, we see they walk into another hallway. Some people are just kind of mush on the ground, like dissolved. And there's other people that are frozen. And Switch tells him, don't touch them. You'll be frozen too. And she throws a vase, and of course the vase freezes in time there. And he realizes that she's not hallucinating at this point. And he goes, okay, then how the hell do we get out of here? And Switch sees the tunnel that she came in from, and says, this is the way we got to leave. David, in the meantime, is trying to break out of the prison using his hands. He's trying to, get the bars out. And of course it's not working. It's like his powers aren't working. And then he asks her where she's from, and she says, he's trying to ask about her background because he doesn't know anything about his mother. And she's a gypsy. She's from gypsies. And that's why she's in there, because the Nazis, of course, were killing gypsies. That was one of the things they did. And she's in complete and total despair at this point, too. And he tells her that he has a friend that can change time. And she thinks he's a madman, basically. And she goes, but I'm mad, too. So it doesn't make any difference. And he's basically breaking down at this point. And he tries to tell her that after the camp, she's going to have a baby. She's going to hold that baby, and that her husband's going to try and leave for a trip and to stop him from leaving from that trip. It's very important. And then he kind of just breaks down and says, well, if you have this baby, just hold them and love them and think of me as, that is me as the baby, is what he's trying to tell her. And then he realizes this is all a sham that the time eaters have put together there to break him, kind of like what he did for Carrie. And he gets up and he rips apart the illusion. And there's 2 time eaters that are sitting there, and they've shed their human disguises as well. And it's just this black field with these 2 creatures sitting in front of him. And every time he tries walking towards them, they blip him back to the start of where he started from. And he's saying the same thing over and over again, that he's going to kick their ass, that kind of stuff. And as he keeps walking forward towards them, he keeps blipping back to his starting point, which is really kind of fucked up at that point. Farouk, Carrie, and Clark end up in the time between time. And the interesting thing about this is it's shown in a series of still pictures. So everything that they're doing is shown in still pictures, and it's moving along kind of almost like an animatic in a way. So if those of you who don't know what an animatic is, it's a series of hand-drawn, it's what they do to block out a movie of how the scenes are going to play and stuff like that. You take hand-drawn pictures and you move it along in the time frame of what you're going to do the story or the movie as, or the TV show, whatever. And I love what he did with this, that he actually took them on location and just shot pictures instead of actually doing movies, instead of shooting film. So this is an artist. How can I say this? This episode is for artists. If you're an artist and you're just way the hell out there, this is for you, quite honestly. And I loved it. It was one of those things I'm like, wow, that's an awesome idea. Yes, it has been done before. I've seen it before in other movies, but to do it this way for the time between time is just awesome. And it's just very visual, very visceral. Yeah, it's hard to describe unless you've watched it. And that's why I love this show. I mean, quite honestly, I can't get enough of this thing. I'm sad that it's ending. I really am. Because there's nothing like it. And there's not going to be anything like it on TV probably ever again, quite honestly. Just because of how weird this is. And it doesn't play well with Billy Bob and all those kind of things down the Bible Belt or any place else for the rest of the country, honestly. So, we see them walking towards a mailbox is what it looks like. I don't know. There was this thing that looked like mailboxes. And yeah. Hey, M. Edison Hat. Hey, okay. There we go. And I didn't really get the mailbox connotation. And maybe it was just because I was watching it on a smaller screen. I couldn't tell what the hell that was. But yeah, it really looked like a mailbox that was going on there. Oops. Sorry. bouncing around everything here. So Switch and Carrie escape, of course, and they enter a telephone booth, and Carrie modifies the phone and is able to call up Mainframe. But Mainframe is glitching. Sorry, there we go. And Mainframe is glitching and notices that there's a time discrepancy. And Carrie actually reboots him via his voice. He's able to actually reboot Mainframe. And he wants a drop ship is basically what he wants. He wants to get drop shipped out. And they automatically, after they reboot Mainframe, they blip onto the airship. And Switch realizes that they're losing minutes in time at this point because the time meters are there and they're eating these minutes and they need to move fast. And I love how Carrie goes, he's thinking that she's talking about him, and they're like, no, she's talking about in general that they need to move fast. Otherwise, there's going to be no time to protect. She goes, they could blip them back to the time of the dinosaurs, or they can even blip them out of existence, like they were never there to fight them to begin with. So yeah, it's really, really trippy at this point. So Carrie actually asks Mainframe if they're malevolent or hungry, and Mainframe says it's going to calculate, and it's calculating, and Carrie's like, well, she asked you a question, and Mainframe says, well, it's going to take 3 years, some odd months, and so many days, weeks, and hours, and it's going to be over 3 years at this point. And Carrie's like, yeah, we don't have that kind of time at this point. Hey, Joe Greer. In the meantime, Sid is still talking to her younger self, and they're still drinking. And her younger self asks what Sid... basically, she asks her younger self what she is. And Sid describes, changing bodies, what it's like changing bodies. And everything she's ever told anybody else is that changing bodies is like a vacation. She goes, but really, in reality, she feels dirty because when she comes back, in her nose, it's not her smell that she has, it's the other person that she had changed into. It's that smell, and it's always violating to her, and it doesn't feel right, of course. And then young Sid, of course, mentions the whole thing that we talked about, or we saw last season, where she had switched bodies with her mom. And why did he turn her around? And Sid says, it was power is what it was. And young Sid's like, well, I thought that, that's not love, right? And she says, no, it's not. And so young Sid asks her, will we ever find love? And Sid says, yes, we do. And then we find out the exact moment in time that David actually manipulated Sid's mind. And it's when he pulled her out of the hole. It was that drain plug hole that was out in the desert. That was where he manipulated her mind first. And it's finally good to see a little bit of context in this as to where it happened, instead of trying to figure out, when and where it happened, instead of guessing did it happen. It was kind of a weird thing for a long time here, but yes, David did manipulate her mind at one point. He did it kind of matter of factly, I guess you can say. Or maybe even he didn't really know what he was doing, but he did. It's all kinds of weirdness. That's all I can say. I'm not trying to apologize for him in any way, shape, or form. It is what it is. So, and they did show it that way. And, I'm glad they finally kind of showed us what happened and where and when. And she asks her, what's going to happen if they hug? Will they switch places? And so they hug. And Sid notices that her younger self is squeezing tighter and tighter. And she wakes up and she's underneath a time eater. And she's trying to scream and she's thrashing around, moving through time. And this time eater is on top of her. And she is kind of glitching between her present self and her younger self. And it's pretty fucked up, really. Meantime, Lenny is searching for her pregnant girl friend there, and comes into the room where she's giving, birth, having labor. and then flits through time, and we see her with the baby, and then flits through time again, and she's a little girl drawing her mommy a picture, flits through time again, and she keeps doing it as she gets older and older and older until she sees her as an old woman in bed dying. And then the final one is Lenny flits to the room when everything is decayed and into basically dust. And Lenny loses it at that point. The only thing that's left there is the picture that she had drawn her as, a little girl, because Lenny had it in her hand. And Lenny is just broken at this point, crying on the ground. Yeah, pretty fucked up stuff. In the meantime, Farouk, Clark, and Carrie start fighting the Time Eaters. And then we start going between them, Sid, who is underneath one of the Time Eaters, and switching between her younger self and her present self. And then David, as David keeps walking towards them and flitting back to the beginning. And finally he stops and he gets into his calm mode, and he creates multiple versions of himself, which all join. And he says, "I'm God," essentially, and burns one of the Time Eaters, and tells the other one, he says, "It's not your time, it's my time. Go tell your friends, and or I'm going to kill every single last one of you." And we see them start leaving everybody. They leave Sid, they leave Farouk, Carrie, and Clark, and they flit back, of course, to regular time with Farouk's help, of course, because that's what Farouk does. And when David comes back, he finds Lenny lying in the middle of the street, and he says, "Here, let me help you." And she says, "No, I want to feel this pain. I want to keep feeling this pain." And David comes back to the commune, of course, and his followers are all around him. He goes, "Stop, stop, stop." And he finally kind of flings them off of him. And they're scared of him, of course, because that's what this is. He's, manipulative. It's a cult is what it is. And he's doing this for his own benefit, no one else's. Finally, he asks, "Where's Switch?" And one of his disciples says, "The scientist took him." And he's pissed. He kind of lets out this anger that they all feel. And he says, he basically declares war on Division 3 at this point. And that's where we leave it, with him declaring war on Division 3. Wow. That's all I can say is holy shit. M. Edison Hat says, "I loved when she told her younger self David turned her around." Yeah. That was the other thing too, is that, yeah. Man. Joker the Third, I dig that about time travel shows. Yeah. It was really good. Really, really good. Like I said, I have to go and watch it again. Thanks, M. Edison Hat says, "Glad to see you back with your own show. Legion is the reason I discovered you last year when you and someone else were doing reviews." Yeah, thanks. So, Viking Bitch had left for the night. Sorry. Yes, I know it's late. Luckily, I was able to catch the East Coast feed. I almost didn't catch the East Coast feed. I was having a little problem with my VPN, my spoofer VPN that was telling me that, tells them I'm on the East Coast when I'm actually on the West Coast, so I can watch it earlier. Robert M. says, "The writer Olivia Dufault also writes for Preacher." Nice. I didn't know she was writing for this show as well. That's pretty cool. Viking Bitch says, "Totally agree, Dennis. The last season was filled with art references too." Yeah, that's true. It does so well. I'm scrolling up a little bit here. So let's see. 9 drinking. Where else are we going? The daddy thing. Okay. So I'm going to go back down to the bottom here. Here we go. Sid sounded crazier than David. Not really. She's trying to describe time, Robert M., and all the stuff that's happened in time without giving away stuff to her younger self is going to sound crazy. And she was trying to make it as vague as possible, because I'm fairly sure she remembers now what happened, and that time was collapsing in on itself. And yeah, it's I don't know what's going on. How this is going to end. It's going to end badly is what I'm thinking. Really, really is. Wibbly wobbly timey wimey episode. Yes, Robert M. It was. It very much was. See, are you a fan of Doctor Who? Really, Dennis? No, I'm not, Joe Greer. I am a casual fan of Doctor Who. Uh, I actually like the Matt Smith version. The Matt Smith version was awesome. I know everyone says David Tennant. David Tennant actually kind of turned me off on it a little bit, tell you the truth. I know. Blasphemy. But my favorite episode is actually the Van Gogh episode. That's my favorite episode of Doctor Who. Someone else, was he a Muppet named Beaker? Yeah. How many episodes are left in the season, Baking 101? That's a good question. This was episode 4. I think there are 13, if I'm not mistaken. It's either 10 or 13. I can't remember which one it is. I'll have to take a look. I dug the girl who waited during Matt Smith's years. Yeah. Oh man. Like I said, this it's only an 8-episode season. Thank you, Tom Forsyth. Yeah, I didn't have that information in front of me there, but 8-episode season. Wow. So we're halfway through the season already. And this has been going at breakneck speed, quite honestly. I know people say it's slow sometimes, but it's not. When you go back and look at it, they are not wasting any episodes as they're doing this. And this, I mean, they just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Last episode was a payoff for the first 2 episodes setup. This episode, just kind of, I don't know, broke the mold on whatever it was trying to do. And yeah, I mean, the time eaters are going to go down as probably one of the scariest villains or entities on TV, quite honestly. That's it. They just were fucking creepy, just flitting around like they were, and how they move through time and what they can do, and how they could look like people one moment and then look like animals or cats the next. They changed, they morphed. And the creepy smile, especially when they got to a close up. I wanted to get one of those pictures to use as, the cover art, the thumbnail for this video, but I couldn't find anything, unfortunately, because I was going to have to take a snapshot of it on my screen, and it was kind of hard to do at the time since I was watching it live. So Dennis is taking off his glasses. Well, somebody told me that, there's a glare on my glasses. So, I should take them off every now and then. So that's what I do, Slarmy. Yeah. Yeah. Time Eater sounds like something in Doctor Who. Yeah, I got H.G. Wells from it, Stanley, is really what I got. And that's I mean, they kind of went old school on that one. It really was old school sci-fi. I know people, are into the Doctor Who stuff and all that, and they attribute it to that, but I read a lot of old sci-fi like Alfred Bester, uh, you know, um, Harry Harrison, all that kind of stuff, and it kind of reminds me of that. So, yeah. Jules Verne, yes, Jules Verne's, yes. Verne. So I watch Legion before I watch iZombie. It depends, Joe. Like I said, Legion isn't for everybody. You might not like it. You might love it. It could go one of either way, quite honestly. I couldn't tell you. Time eaters have never seen anything like them. Yeah, exactly. M. Anderson had. I agree with you. The Langoliers. Yes, the Langoliers, Robert M. I agree with you. That is eating up the what the past, I guess you could say. Yeah, to make room for what comes next. Maybe the glare doesn't come from the glasses. It's the twinkle in my eye, Stanley. Why would you listen to some fool who nitpicks? Supposedly that's what I do. I nitpick about certain shows. Penn Farm Girl says Time Eaters were a real mix, but there were some definite weeping angel vibe to them in some scenes. Yeah, I can see that. Penn Farm Girl. But I mean, it was dealing with time, so I could see how that worked as well. I really loved that whole thing and how they fucked with people by using their own timeline against them and creating false timelines for them to live in and relive, and that's really evil. And then just shitting on Carrie's lab bench seat, that was really kind of nasty, pretty much. Wink, wink. Blink still rules to this day. Yeah, Blink was cool. They just didn't utilize her in what was that really god awful Fox show? That because they didn't have the budget, quite honestly. Yeah. I mean, it was, cast brilliantly. She looked right, all that kind of stuff, and yet they couldn't do anything. The Gifted. Yes, thank you, Stanley Tweedle. I was trying to obliterate it from my mind. There just isn't enough alcohol in the world to do it, unfortunately. No Doctor Who episodes with Tennant and Sally Sparrow. You're asking me, Joe, if I liked any of those? No, I did not like those. Sorry. That, quite honestly, Sally, I believe, is a girl in the woman in the bride dress, the bridal gown. Her, oh my god, that was really what kind of turned me off on that one. There was the pairing of the two, and just how mean he was to her. That actually kind of just turned me off from the show completely. Penn Farm Girl says taking a dump on the chair was unexpected and just wrong. Yeah, exactly. It was just them screwing with him. I mean, that was the whole thing. Is he was. I honestly don't know what they were doing with him. Why they were doing that? I guess they just couldn't create. Oh, that's why. Because he shared time with Carrie, and they would need both of them together in order to use his their shared time in order to fuck with him. You need that person there for their memories, because their memories are also time, if you will. How everyone says, we all are time travelers because of our memories that we have. We can go back and remember things. That's what it is that the Carries together make one person. And so they couldn't use his time against him. So they were just fucking with him within the timeline itself, right there and then in the present, by switching things out of his hands, shitting on his seat, that kind of thing. But they couldn't touch him. So he's actually immune. Separately, well, why could they touch her though? Well, no, they could touch her because she was in the time in between time. So there we go. Yeah. Oh, Donna Noble. There we go. Joker. Yeah, her I didn't like. So, yeah, don't ask me about Doctor Who and anything like that. I'm not knowledgeable about that stuff at all. I leave it to other people who like to bitch and complain about it. So, yeah. Oh, you guys are talking about that Blink. I was talking about a different Blink from The Gifted. I'm more comic booky stuff than the TV stuff. Sorry. Joe, Supergirl is going to have a season 5 new suit. Yes, I saw that, Joe. It's old news. It's at least 8 hours old. She actually had tweeted the suit. Not tweet. Yeah, was it? Yeah, she did tweet it out. Like 2 or 3 weeks ago, something like that, and I saw it then. She had it in the background someplace, and everyone was like, "What's that? Is that a new suit?" And then they finally did a close up of it today. So yeah. And yes, I love the Eccleston Who. The Eccleston Doctor Who, when it started off in the newest version of it, was awesome. I'm just disappointed that he didn't do more than one season. And he is as well, because it kind of screwed up his career a little bit. They really blacklisted him with that. If you go back and look at interviews, he did a couple of interviews last year, I think, where he talked about all the stuff that happened because he walked out of that after the first season of Doctor Who. Yeah, it's pretty fucking awful. Tom Forsyth, you did not miss much after watching. I really wish I walked out after watching the first episode of The Gifted. It was really bad. Yes, and The Gifted is Oscar worthy compared to The Inhumans. The Inhumans was really inhuman. That they could use for torture. I'm pretty sure The Inhumans is banned by the Geneva Convention. So, yeah, as cruel and unusual punishment, it's considered torture. Stanley Tweedle says, "What is different about the new suit? Is it white with a boob? No, it's got pants to it. And the reason why they gave her pants, quite honestly, and it's pretty funny, is because they filmed this in Vancouver, and Marissa was freezing her ass off when they film in wintertime. That's really the only reason why they gave her pants. There's no feminist movement behind her or anything like that. She was freezing her ass off after 4 seasons, so they finally just put her in pants. That is really the only reason why. It's not Power Girl, no. Yes, it is an upgrade. And I believe they did in the comics too. At one point, they gave her, a full body suit kind of thing, which is fine. You don't need to have, superheroes parading around in skirts, things like that. It makes sense. Good night, Medicine Hat. Thanks for joining. And take a look throughout the rest of the week. Like I said, it's going to be Comic-Con week. So there you go. There's going to be a lot of stuff popping up this week. Yeah, she is a fun character to play on Injustice Expo. I think actually my Injustice 2 character, Supergirl character, is she a level? I think she's at level 15 right now, if I'm not mistaken. I know my Batman's at level 20, but I haven't gotten her. I was building her for a little bit, and then I stopped playing the game because, of course, I got other stuff that I'm doing. Yeah, my poor PS4 is just sitting there all lonely. Oh, Stanley. Anyway, if you like what you see here, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. And also, if you want to see when I'm going to be on live again next, hit the little bell down below. You can go into the bell settings and get as many or as little notifications as you want. Excuse me. You can also find out when I'm going to be on again live by taking a look at my schedule. My schedule's on suspendedfanimation.com. It's also mirrored on my Facebook page. Follow me on my Facebook page because that's where I post most of the news of the week and any updates. If I'm running late or something like that, I will post it to the Facebook page. Excuse me. I also have a Twitter. I have an Instagram. And I also have a Patreon page. The Patreon, I do not have any tiers up at the moment, but I am working on it. At some point in time, I will get to it. So, like I said, this week, on Wednesday, if I do not get into Conan O'Brien, I'm trying to get standby tickets to Conan O'Brien, which means I need to get there at god-awful early in the morning to wait in line. Because I was waitlisted for all 4 shows, and once you're on the wait list, you're never getting in. And so if I get in on the standby list, then there's going to be no Krypton on Wednesday. If I don't, there will be a Krypton. Other than that, iZombie is on hold this week. Swamp Thing's on hold. And of course, Saturday Morning Plastoff's on hold. So there you go. But take a look at the channel tomorrow. You'll see a notification. There is a video that I'm working on that will be up. And it's about Comic-Con. Yes, it is. So I'm working on it. I need to finish it up tonight, as a matter of fact. Maybe even a little bit tomorrow. Good night, Stanley Tweedle. Thank you. We will see you on the other side because I don't have social media. Oh, Stanley. That's fine. I'm going to be posting stuff here on the channel as well. I'll be posting panels, things like that. Maybe even some little videos, things as well that of nature as well. So I could post more questions for Dennis. All you East Coast people having to go to bed. Yeah, I was actually supposed to go into work tomorrow, and I just told my boss, I'm like, I'm going to be having Wednesday through Friday or Wednesday through next Monday off. I'm just going to take the extra day. Is that cool? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. So, yeah. I figured, what the hell? I might as well take an extra day. Pen Farm Girl will have lots of makeup discussion once you're back. Exactly. Makeup discussion? Is that better than regular discussion, Pen Farm Girl, or is that after the argument? I'm sorry, that was bad of me, but it just sounded funny. Stanley Slurmy Scott, Night Stanley, and all you chuckle fucks. Exactly. All right, everyone. I'm gonna let you guys go since it looks like everyone's bailing out right now. And yes, I know, Pen Farm Girl. It was bad, but you know what? Movie Fanobi wasn't here, so I had to fill the void, so to speak. Oh, see, he's not here. That's the whole thing. I need to take up the slack on making those bad jokes, the bad innuendos. That's what happens. Hey, Ejar, how's it going? I know you came in at the end again. That's what happens. Well, I try Pen Farm Girl. You know, I'm pretty sure that Movie Fanobi and I might have shared a brain at one point in time, at least a portion of it, and that's why I'm tainted from that. Yeah, watch the replay, Ejar. We were talking about the time eaters, man. The time eaters are you just got the notifications. Yeah, I did post it a little bit late. Sorry, Ejar. I was trying to find the right photo and I couldn't find it, so I had to go with a old stock photo that I had, unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah, it is a scary thought, Pen Friend World. If you think it's scary, try sharing a portion of your brain with them. It's really scary. Like the Man with Two Heads with Rosie Greer. Yes, Joe Greer. That is an awesomely bad movie. And the sequel. Yeah. Oh, God. Those are just bad. Really, really bad. Okay, everyone. Before I devolve into other stuff, thank you, everyone. Thank you for the new subscribers that have come on. Yes, I know this is kind of a bad week for you because you're going to just be seeing or it could be a good week depending on how you look at it. You might be seeing a whole bunch of new panels that you've never seen before. I'm going to post up stuff every night. Basically, I have to post it up when I get back home because there's no way in hell I can do it out in the field. Just there's not enough bandwidth in order to do it. I have to bring it back home and do it there. Like I said, just keep watching the channel, and if you have social media, check out Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. You're going to see all that stuff on there. Basically, anything that goes to my Instagram is going to go to Twitter and Facebook at the same time as well. So, interview with movie stars. That is the plan next year, Joe Greer. I'm going to try and get in as press next year. This year, press was in November, was for the deadline for the press credentials. And of course, I didn't start this channel until December. So a little bit of a thing. There we go. Yes, I do plan stuff out because I have to. Otherwise, it'll never get done. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, everyone who joined me tonight in the chat as well. You know who you all are out there. And thank you if you made it this far through the video. And take a look. If you're still on the fence about joining up, you're going to see a video pop up here. It's going to take a video from my vast video library based on all the stuff that you've been watching. That's going to pop it up this way. Up here is going to be Saturday morning blast off. That is what was last up there. So we're going to put that up there. Just remember, number one question: if you could be a tree, what would you be? How would you describe an orange to a blind person? That's yeah, that's one of my favorite interview questions, by the way. If you just really want to throw somebody a curveball and fuck with them. Hey, Stanley Tweedle, thanks. Yes, thank you. It's awesome to have 301 people. 301. Nice. And hopefully just grows from there. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to let you go. Have a nice night and take a look tomorrow. You'll probably see a video pop up tomorrow. Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, it may get chewed off by a time eater with a really creepy motherfucking smile. Thanks, everyone. Good night.